Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are looking at a figure who is, quite frankly, a statistical anomaly.
A glitch in the matrix of Hollywood history, you could say.
Yeah, a total glitch. Usually when we talk about child stars, the conversation, it just inevitably drifts toward a very specific, very sad bingo card.
Oh, yeah. Tragedy, burnout, substance abuse.
Or just fading into total obscurity by the time they hit 20. It's the curse we always hear about.
It is a pervasive narrative, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And the data backs it up. The industry is notoriously efficient at chewing up young talent.
Chewing them up and spitting them out.
Exactly. It's an extraction economy. It extracts their youth, their appeal, and then it moves on.
But today we're looking at the exception that really proves the rule. We're talking about someone who started working at 3 years old.
3. It's hard to even wrap your head around that.
Right. Became the family breadwinner before she could read. Survived an assassination attempt on a president that was weirdly, disturbingly centered around her.
An event that would have defined anyone else's entire life.
For sure. And then went to Yale, came back, and not only came back, but won 2 Oscars for Best Actress and became a powerhouse director. We are talking about Jodie Foster.
It really is a remarkable case study in agency. If you look at the source material we have for today, which includes a comprehensive biography, career retrospective, interviews spanning decades, what stands out isn't just the list of movies.
No, it's something else.
It's the intentionality.
Yeah.
Today's mission is to really unpack how Foster navigated a 50-plus year career by leveraging her intellect, rather than just her image.
Right. We're going to look at the 2 Jodies, if you will. There's the public prodigy, the face on the screen.
And then there's this fiercely private intellectual who seems to be operating on a completely different OS than her peers.
A different operating system. I love that. And that duality, it feels key.
It might be the secret to her survival. She managed to keep those 2 cells separate. She built a firewall between the person and the persona.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have to start at the very, very beginning because the timeline here is just wild.
Yeah.
We are talking 1965.
The Coppertone commercial.
The Coppertone girl.
Oh.
A piece of pop culture iconography, right? The little girl with the dog pulling down her swimsuit.
A classic. And she's 3 years old.
3. And the best part of the story, the thing that I love, is that she wasn't even supposed to be there. This wasn't a case of some stage mom pushing her daughter into the spotlight.
Not at all. That's right. It was actually her brother, Buddy, who was supposed to audition.
Her brother. Okay.
Their mother, Brandy, was a single mom. She had divorced Jodie's father before Jodie was even born, and she was managing Buddy's budding career. Jodie was just the little sister tagging along.
So just because they couldn't get a babysitter, basically.
Pretty much. They couldn't leave her at home. So she's there, sitting in the waiting room.
Somebody sees her?
Somebody sees her. And even at 3, sources describe her as having this intense, almost unnerving focus. They saw something in her.
They put her in the spot.
And she completely stole the gig from her brother.
Wow. And just like that, the family dynamic completely flips on its head. She starts booking everything. We're talking over 50 television shows in just a few years.
50? That's a staggering number.
Gunsmoke, Bonanza, My 3 Sons, all the classics. And she becomes the main breadwinner for the family, alongside her brother.
Which is such a heavy burden for a child. We have to contextualize this. This wasn't, a fun hobby or some after-school activity.
Yeah, this was rent. This was groceries.
This was economic survival for the household. She knew, on some level, that if she didn't perform, the bills didn't get paid. That creates a level of professionalism and anxiety, I'd imagine, that most kids just never experience.
And she's doing all this while going to school. But let's fast forward a bit to 1976. This is the year where that 2 Jodies thing gets really, really stark.
Oh, this year is everything.
I mean, the range she displayed in this single year is baffling. It feels like 2 different careers happening at the same time.
It's the year that defined her career. It's the year that duality just solidified. On one hand, you have the Disney machine.
Right. Freaky Friday, she's playing the tomboy teen who swaps bodies with her mom.
It's wholesome. It's a massive box office hit.
And it's her first true star vehicle where she's actually carrying the movie.
And in that same sort of wholesome lane, you have Napoleon and Samantha.
Oh, yeah, where she's trekking through the wilderness with a lion.
A real lion.
A lion that actually mauled her, by the way. I feel like we need to pause on this because it's insane.
It is a terrifying story. On the set of Napoleon and Samantha, she was accidentally grabbed by the lion. It picked her up by her waist and shook her.
Shook her? Like a doll.
She still has the scars on her back to prove it.
That is the stuff of nightmares. But what's so wild is her reaction. Most kids, most adults even, would never go near a set again.
She got patched up and went back to work.
Of course she did.
That's the professional resilience we're talking about. She just viewed it as an occupational hazard. But while she's doing these sanitized Disney films,
At the same time,
she's also filming Taxi Driver with Martin Scorsese.
which is, let's just say, not a Disney movie.
No, it is the polar opposite of Disney. Definitely not. She's 12 years old playing Iris, a child prostitute living in this gritty, hellish version of New York City.
This is where I just get stuck. How does a 12-year-old even process a role like that? And honestly, how is that even legally allowed?
It was a very different time, for sure, but even then, there were major hurdles. The California Welfare Board was involved.
They had to be.
She had to undergo a 4-hour psychiatric assessment to prove she was mentally stable enough to handle the material.
4 hours.
Yeah. They had to ensure she wouldn't be traumatized by the subject matter.
And I read something about her sister, that her sister stood in for her.
Yes, this is a fascinating detail about how they protected her. Her older sister, Connie, who was 19 at the time, acted as her stand-in for the more sexually suggestive scenes.
Ah, okay.
So when you see a wide shot or a moment that feels too inappropriate for a child, that's actually Connie. Jodie herself wasn't performing those specific moments.
But she was still deeply immersed in that dark world.
Oh, completely. There was no escaping the theme.
That is a lot for a family dynamic. Hey, sis, can you just step in for this scene for me?
I can't imagine. But clearly, the protections worked, and the performance absolutely worked. She got an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actress at age 14.
14.
But what's really fascinating here isn't just the accolade, it's what Foster took away from the experience internally. She spoke extensively about how Robert De Niro treated her on that set.
How so?
He didn't treat her like a kid, and he didn't treat her like a prop. He took her to diners in New York, rehearsed scenes with her over and over, and just treated her like a peer.
He respected her.
He would improvise with her. He saw her as a fellow actor.
So that's where she learned the craft.
Exactly. That's the word she uses. Before that, acting for her was just acting natural. She was just naturally good at pretending.
A gifted mimic?
Right. De Niro taught her that acting was a series of choices, building a character from the ground up. It intellectualized the process for her.
And for a kid like Jodie Foster, who was already reading at age 3 and going to this rigorous prep school, that intellectual hook must have been everything.
It turned acting from a job into a study, into a puzzle to be solved.
We have to talk about the school. She wasn't just going to some on-set tutor to check a box, right? This was serious.
No, she attended the Lycée Français de Los Angeles. It's a very, very serious French language prep school.
So she became fluent in French.
Completely fluent.
And I love this detail. She acts in French films, and she dubs her own movies in French. So if you watch a Jodie Foster movie in Paris, that's actually her voice you're hearing.
It is. She did a film called Moi, Fleur Bleue, entirely in French. It shows that she wasn't just relying on Hollywood. She was building a brain. She was building an escape route.
An escape route. That's a great way to put it.
And that academic rigor is what eventually led her to make a choice that almost no child star ever makes.
The pivot. The year is 1980. She's 18. She's a massive star. She could have done any movie she wanted.
Any movie. The world was her oyster.
And she decides, you know what? I'm going to college.
And not just any college. Yale University. An Ivy League school.
This is the start of what some people call the wilderness years in terms of her acting, right? She really steps away.
She did. She enrolled in 1981 and basically became a full-time student. And crucially, she didn't study drama. She didn't go to Yale to get better at acting.
What did she major in?
She majored in African American literature.
That is incredibly specific and, frankly, amazing.
She wrote her thesis on Toni Morrison under the supervision of Henry Louis Gates Jr.
Wow.
I mean, that is heavy-hitting academic work. She graduated magna cum laude.
Has she ever talked about why she chose that specific major?
She's hinted that she was drawn to stories of stories of people navigating systems that weren't built for them, which, when you think about it,
makes a lot of sense for her.
It really does. But the bigger point is that she later said she used to think acting was a stupid profession, that it wasn't intelligent work.
She needed to prove to herself she could do something smart.
Exactly. And going to Yale gave her the distance to realize that she actually wanted to act and that it could be an intellectual pursuit. But of course, her time at Yale wasn't the peaceful academic retreat she probably hoped for.
Right. This is where things get really dark. We have to address the Hinckley incident. It's impossible to tell her story without it.
We do. It's a brief but necessary part of the context. In 1981, during her freshman year, a man named John Hinckley Jr. attempted to assassinate President Ronald Reagan.
And his motive was just bizarrely, terrifyingly to impress Jodie Foster.
Correct. He had developed this pathological obsession with her after watching Taxi Driver over and over again. He identified with the De Niro character.
So he saw her as Iris.
He did. He moved to New Haven, where Yale is. He slipped letters and poems under her dorm door. He was stalking her.
And when he shot the president, he claimed it was the greatest love offering in history.
It's chilling.
I can't even imagine. You're a freshman in college, you're just trying to study Toni Morrison and go to class, and suddenly you are unwittingly ensnared, to use the judge's words, in a presidential assassination attempt.
The FBI is at your door. The media is swarming the campus.
It must have been traumatic. She had to testify, didn't she?
She did, via videotape, because appearing in court was considered too dangerous or disruptive for the trial.
Yeah.
She had bodyguards following her everywhere on campus.
She wrote an essay about it, right? Why me?
For Esquire magazine? Yes.
Yeah.
Trying to process the absolute violation of it all. But after that, she largely refused to discuss it.
And you can see why. She didn't want to be the actress who got the president shot.
Yeah.
She wanted to be defined by her work, not by some man's horrific actions.
And that desire for control, for absolute privacy, it really hardened during this time. The wall went up, and it stayed up.
But when she graduated in 1985, the industry wasn't exactly waiting with open arms to welcome back the scholar.
Not at all.
Yeah, this is the slump. The industry has such a short memory. They saw her as, what? A chubby teenager?
Exactly. That's a quote. She was in that awkward phase. She wasn't the child prodigy anymore, but she hadn't established herself as an adult lead. She wasn't the typical ingenue.
And the movies she did were not great.
Not great at all. She did a film called Siesta in 1987, which was a huge flop. Then Stealing Home, which was a critical disaster.
I remember the Roger Ebert review.
Oh, it was brutal. He literally wondered if any movie could possibly be that bad.
Ouch. That is harsh. So she's at a crossroads. She needs a role that shatters the child star image completely. She needs to shock the system.
Enter The Accused in 1988.
This is the turning point. But I was surprised to learn she really had to fight for this. You'd think it's Jodie Foster. She can have whatever role she wants.
Not at that time. The producers were wary. They didn't see her as having the grit or the sexuality for the role of Sarah Tobias.
Describe the character for us.
Sarah is a working-class woman, kind of a party girl, who is gang-raped in the back of a bar. And the film is about her fight for justice.
It's a grueling, brutal role.
Incredibly so. It requires a raw vulnerability that Foster just hadn't shown yet on screen.
And she had to audition twice.
She did. She had to prove she could be unpolished, that she could shed that intellectual prep school exterior.
And other actresses had turned it down?
Many had. The subject matter was just so heavy. But Foster wanted it. She saw it as a chance to do something real, to give voice to a victim who wasn't perfect, who wasn't saintly.
And the shoot sounds like it was a nightmare. The rape scene, I read, took 5 full days to film.
It did. And Foster was actually terrified during the production that her performance wasn't good enough. She called her agent crying, thinking she might be ending her career.
Wow. And instead,
It did the exact opposite.
it won her the first Academy Award for Best Actress.
And rightfully so. It's a performance that completely stripped away any lingering Disney vibes. It established her as a serious, adult, dramatic actress who could handle extreme emotional weight.
It set the stage for the 90s where she really becomes a power player.
It absolutely did.
Which brings us to, arguably, her most iconic role. 1991, Clarice Starling.
The Silence of the Lambs?
And again, a role she had to fight for. This is a recurring theme with her, isn't it?
It really is. She never seems to get the easy path.
Really. Even after winning the Oscar for The Accused, you'd think she'd be the first choice.
Jonathan Demme, the director, did not want her. He was actively looking for someone else. He wanted Michelle Pfeiffer. He wanted Meg Ryan.
Meg Ryan as Clarice Starling.
He basically wanted anyone but Jodie Foster. He didn't think she had the right warmth for the part. He thought she was too cold, too guarded.
So how did she get it?
It was pure determination and intellect. She had read the Thomas Harris novel back in 1988 as soon as it came out, and actually tried to buy the film rights herself.
No way.
Yes, she was obsessed with the character. She told the press that she loved the idea of a female heroine who wasn't saving the day with, brawn or steroids, but with her mind.
With intellect.
Clarice uses her intellect and her own insecurities to catch the villain.
That fits the Jodie Foster brand perfectly, the intellectual hero.
It does, and ironically, the very guardedness that Demi disliked was what made her so perfect for Clarice. Clarice is guarded. She's a woman navigating a world of male monsters.
That's a great point.
The producers eventually overruled Dem, and thank goodness they did. Demi later admitted he was totally wrong and credited Foster with helping define the character's strength.
And chemistry with Anthony Hopkins. I mean, the way he looks at her through that glass.
It's legendary.
Yeah.
And interestingly, they share very little actual screen time together. Most of their scenes are just them talking through the glass of his cell.
It's pure acting.
Pure acting. No special effects, just two incredible performers.
And the film was a monster hit. A commercial and critical juggernaut.
It grossed nearly $273 million. And it won the Big Five: Oscars Picture, Director, Actor, Screenplay, and Actress for Foster.
Her second Best Actress Oscar in 3 years.
That puts her in very, very elite company. Before the age of 30, she'd achieved what most actors don't achieve in an entire lifetime.
But it wasn't all smooth sailing, right? There was some controversy around the film that touched on her personal life.
Right, we have to mention the protests. The LGBTQ community, specifically groups like ACTUP and Queer Nation, criticized the film very heavily.
What was their main issue?
They felt the character of Buffalo Bill, who was portrayed as a bisexual, transgender serial killer, or at least someone trying to be trans, was a deeply harmful stereotype.
Okay.
This was during the height of the AIDS crisis, and positive representation was incredibly scarce. They felt this villain demonized queer people at a time when they were already being vilified.
And this criticism blew back on Foster personally.
It did. There had been rumors and speculation about Foster's sexuality for years, since the early 90s. It was the open secret of Hollywood.
The glass closet.
Exactly. And activists were frustrated. They felt that she, as a closeted lesbian, allegedly at the time, was participating in a film that hurt the community. They wanted her to speak up.
But she stayed silent?
She stayed silent. She stuck to her policy.
Mm-hmm.
The work is public. The life is private. She refused to be outed or forced into a political position before she was ready.
Which is completely consistent with everything else we know about her.
Completely. And speaking of work, she didn't just stay in front of the camera. In 1991, the same year Silence of the Lambs comes out, she directs her first film.
Little man Tate.
Exactly. And just look at the subject matter. A child prodigy struggling to fit in with normal kids, torn between a working-class mom and an intellectual mentor.
I mean, come on. She says it's not autobiographical, but...
It screams autobiography.
Yes.
It's all there. She admits it carries the philosophy she accumulated over her life. It mirrors her own life so beautifully.
And she plays the mom, right?
She plays a working-class mom, interestingly, not the intellectual mentor. She plays the Brandy figure, her own mother.
And she starts her own production company around this time, right? Egg Pictures.
Yes, in 1992.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a big business move. She's not just an actress for hire anymore. She's developing her own projects. She's in control.
And she produces Nell in 1994.
Oh, Nell. That's the one where she speaks the invented language.
Right. She plays a woman who was raised in total isolation in the Appalachian Mountains and has had no contact with the outside world.
It's an incredibly technical performance. She had to invent that language based on the script. It's this whole other level of character work.
And it earned her another Oscar nomination.
It did.
She was just crushing it. By the late 90s, she's getting paid, what, like $15 million for Anna and the King?
She's one of the highest paid actresses in Hollywood at that point, a true A-lister.
And she caps off the decade with Contact in 1997.
I love Contact, based on the Carl Sagan novel.
It feels like the ultimate Jodie Foster role when you think about it.
It really is.
Yeah.
She's Dr. Ellie Arroway, a SETI scientist. She's looking for truth in the universe. She's fighting against a skeptical, male-dominated establishment.
She's driven by logic, but confronts the spiritual.
It's the thinking woman's hero archetype, fully, perfectly realized. It's the role she was born to play.
So she enters the 2000s on top of the world. But then things get a little rocky again. The momentum shifts a bit.
The 2000s were a mixed bag. She had some pretty significant setbacks that I think reshaped her career goals. She spent a long time trying to get a project called Flora Plum off the ground.
Right. She was going to direct it.
And Russell Crowe was going to star.
That sounds like a winner on paper. This is Russell Crowe in his Gladiator era.
Exactly. It would have been huge. But Crowe got injured on set, a serious shoulder injury, while training for a stunt.
Oh, no.
He couldn't complete the filming, and the insurance wouldn't cover the massive delay. The whole production just fell apart. Foster tried to revive it for years, but it never happened.
That must have been heartbreaking, to put that much work into something and just have it vanish.
It was, and I think it contributed to her decision to close Egg Pictures in 2001.
She shut it down.
She did. She called producing a thankless bad job. I think she realized that she loved the creative side, the acting and directing, but the business logistics, the insurance, the financing, it was just draining her.
But she didn't disappear. She popped up in Panic Room in 2002. David Fincher.
Another case of her stepping in at the last minute. Nicole Kidman was supposed to play the lead, but she had a knee injury.
So Foster comes in.
With only a week to prepare.
A week to play that intense role. That movie is basically 2 hours of high-stress cardio in a box.
A week. And get this, she was actually pregnant with her second child during filming, which added another huge layer of physical challenge.
I did not know that.
But the film was a massive hit. It was her biggest opening weekend ever at that point. It proved she could still carry a blockbuster.
But as the 2000s went on and we moved into the 2010s, you see another shift. She starts acting less and directing more.
A very deliberate pivot.
And not just movies. She goes into TV.
Which was a very smart, very forward-thinking move. This was right when prestige TV was exploding, but before every A-list movie star had a Netflix show.
She was ahead of the curve.
She really was. She directed episodes of House of Cards, Orange is the New Black, for which she got an Emmy nomination, and Black Mirror.
The Archangel episode of Black Mirror, I didn't realize she directed that. That one is terrifying.
She did. And if you rewatch it, it's about a mother who uses technology to surveil and control her daughter. She implants a chip to see what the daughter sees.
Oh, wow. Given her own childhood and the stalking incidents and her obsession with privacy, that is fascinating.
It connects right back to her own central themes of privacy and protection. She's exploring the dark side of that maternal instinct. The question of how much protection is too much, it's a question she's probably asked herself 1,000 times.
She also directed a film called The Beaver in 2011.
Okay, we have to talk about The Beaver.
We do. This starred Mel Gibson. And this was right when Mel Gibson was, well, publicly radioactive.
He really was. He was facing accusations of domestic violence, anti-Semitism, racism. The infamous tapes had come out. It was a career-ending moment for him.
And yet Foster stood by him. She cast him as a depressed man who can only communicate through a beaver hand puppet.
Why did she do that? It seems like such a massive professional risk.
Foster and Gibson had been friends since they did the movie Maverick together in the 90s. And she is very, very loyal.
Loyalty over optics.
Absolutely. She called the production the biggest struggle of her professional career. The film failed at the box office, largely due to the controversy surrounding Gibson. But she defended the work, and she defended him as a friend. It shows that she values her personal loyalty over public perception.
She wasn't going to let Hollywood tell her who she could be friends with.
Exactly. And speaking of public perception, we have to talk about 2013. The Golden Globes. The Cecil B. DeMille Award.
This was such a cultural moment. For decades, her sexuality was the open secret of Hollywood, the glass closet, as they call it. Everyone knew, but she never, ever confirmed it.
And then she gets up on stage to accept this Lifetime Achievement Award, and she gives this speech. I remember watching it live. The tension in the room was palpable. She starts talking about coming out.
And you could hear a pin drop.
And then she flips the script. She says, I already did my coming out about 1,000 years ago, back in the Stone Age. She was referring to living her life openly with her friends and family for years.
It was such a Jodie way to do it. It wasn't a tearful confession. It was almost annoyed. Like, why do you people need a press conference for my private life?
Precisely. She emphasized privacy as a survival mechanism. She talked about fighting for a life that was real and honest and normal. She thanked her former partner, Sidney Bernard, with whom she co-parents her 2 sons.
It was a total vindication of her strategy. She kept her privacy until she decided to share it on her terms. She didn't let the tabloids steal that moment from her.
And since then, she seems freer, like a weight is off.
She does. She's married now to the photographer Alexandra Hedison, and her work in the 2020s has just been this incredible renaissance.
It really has. She returned to high-profile acting with The Mauritanian in 2021, playing a lawyer at Guantanamo Bay. She won a Golden Globe for that.
And then Naiad in 2023. She played Bonnie Stoll, Diana Nyad's coach and friend.
Another Oscar nomination. And look at that role. She's playing a woman in her 60s, athletic, intense, loyal. She's not wearing heavy makeup. She looks like a real person. She's showing her wrinkles.
She looked powerful.
And then finally, True Detective, Night Country in 2024.
Which won her a Primetime Emmy. She plays Chief Liz Danvers. And let's be honest, Danvers is not a nice lady.
Not at all. She's abrasive, she's unlikable at times, she's sexually active, she's brilliant. She's a mess, a glorious, complicated mess.
It feels like she's created this whole new lane for herself. And to cap it all off, in 2024, she finally did the handprint ceremony at the Chinese Theater.
A cemented legacy, literally, after all that time.
It's incredible.
So what does this all mean? When we look back at this 50-plus year career, what is the through line?
I think it comes down to what we mentioned at the very start. Agency, 100%. Think about it. The industry tried to make her a Disney kid. She did Taxi Driver.
The industry wrote her off as a washed-up teen.
She fought for The Accused and won an Oscar. They wanted a soft Clarice Starling. She made her a warrior of the mind.
They wanted her to just be a movie star.
She went to Yale and became a director.
And when they wanted to gossip about her life, she stayed silent until she was ready to speak.
Exactly. She treats stardom as a job, not an identity. That compartmentalization, the ability to be Jodie Foster the star and Jodie Foster the person, is what saved her from that curse we talked about.
She refused to be a victim of her own fame.
And in doing so, she redefined what a female career in Hollywood can look like. It doesn't have to be a tragedy. It can be a long, intellectual, deliberate climb.
So here's a thought to leave you with. Foster once said she hated the idea that a child actress had to play Shirley Temple or someone's little sister. When you look at her recent roles in Nyad, in True Detective, she's playing these complicated, jagged, difficult older women.
She's certainly not playing the kindly grandmother baking cookies.
Exactly. So has Jodie Foster effectively created a whole new archetype for the older woman on screen? Not as a matriarch, not as a victim, but as an intellectual, complicated, sometimes abrasive force to be reckoned with. It's something to think about.
It absolutely is. She's showing us that the most interesting stories might just happen after 60.
Thanks for listening to this deep dive. We'll catch you on the next one.